You have one life. Live it. That's pretty strong. That's where I am now in my 70s. I want something different. And I'm going to make it different. But I know my roots. I know my foundation. I know what I've mastered in my life. The transformation I've made haven't been easy, but I did it. One thing I've learned is be consistent, persevere, be resilient, know your values, know your principles, know your ethics, be a person of integrity. When you talk about success, the success is up to you. It's not up to me. I'm just giving you examples of what I went through. I also want to empower you to do what I believe is a happy life. We're going to talk about the fifth pillar of success. You know what they are. Number one, foundation. It's your childhood. It's your teachers, your friends, basically your young adulthood. Number two pillar is mastery. That's another 15, 20 years of mastering your craft or your passion or your interests. This is all about your career. It's all about your profession. It's about your family, life-work balance or imbalance. It takes many years to perfect that to your ability and your goals and your roadmap. Number three pillar is transformation. This is when you really decide you're going all in for your future. This is it. This is where you become a leader. This is where you really start helping other people, growing not only yourself, because it's continuous education, it's continuous improvement. The fourth pillar is one of the best times of my life is independence. Once you feel confident that you've earned the opportunity to become independent and free, it's a whole different peace. P-E-A-C-E. You become peaceful and fulfilled. And you really look back and say, wow, I really accomplished something in my life. Now we talk about the fifth pillar, which is the wisdom that you've gained. And that's your legacy. And one thing people don't realize is you could start your legacy immediately. Part of my legacy was to be a businessman. When I was young, I wanted to be an athlete. I realized I wasn't going to be an athlete. I didn't have the skill set. But I thought like an athlete. I worked out like an athlete. I worked hard. I practiced. I did all the things that I tried to achieve. But you know what? I realized in college that I just wasn't going to get drafted. I just realized I wasn't going to go pro. So I started concentrating on what I thought would be the next best game to play. And what I found out was it was business, the game of business. To me, that's what it is. It's like chess. You learn the rules, you learn the moves, you practice, you work hard, you earn it. There's going to be a lot of failures, a lot of losses, but there's going to be gains in baby steps because it takes a lot of time. From start to finish, I'm looking at the first four pillars. It might be 30, 40 years, 50 years in my case. I'm 71. It took me 50 years of business of basically feeling confident that I am an industry expert. That's how long it took. But I was living life, raising children, being a leader, owning businesses with employees, investing, taking care of my health, all the things that it takes to basically say that you were successful. It's not easy to say to yourself that you were successful, especially if you're a workaholic. In my case, I've been a workaholic all my life. I was absent in my marriages. I was unemotional when it came down to my marriages. What I did is I put everything into my businesses and raising my 3 kids. That was my role. That was my purpose, I believe. And now I'm at the point in my life where I'm saying, you know what? What else can I do? I've already achieved success in business. I've already achieved success in raising my kids. Why do I say I feel like I've been successful raising children? It's because I see what they're doing. They're raising the grandchildren and the grandpets. They're happy. And they're picking all the right decisions, which I call, and my father would say, make sure you pick the right horse. Well, I've picked some winners and I've picked some losers. That's just part of life. But right now I want to pass this on to you. I want to pass on that, hey, listen, you can do this. I want to not only educate you, I want to encourage you, and I also want to empower you to do what I believe is a happy life. I saw a lot of that through my mentors and my parents, my coaches, my teachers, my friends. I had to make some tough decisions which way I was going to go. And that's basically what I'm saying to you is, the wisdom of, 30, 40 years is as we get older, that's wisdom if you learn something. And I've had some rocky situations, but I learned from them. So that's where my wisdom came in and my experience, not the things that I leave behind. It's the significant wisdom that I could leave behind as a legacy. What you really need is mentorship. Not everyone's a superstar. Not everybody wants to be a superstar. I respect people that say, hey, I've been in the pros for 10 years and now it's time for me to let go. And they do let go. And I think that's pretty important, that they know their value and they know their bodies, they know their family life, and they want to change. I've had 7 different careers in my lifetime, including TikTok, YouTube, social media. I didn't have this in my mind. I've written 1 book and I got another book coming out, and I've done a lot of things wrong. Believe me. We call it bootstrapping. But I've always invested in myself. I didn't, I'm the type of guy that I didn't want to have anyone jump off the high bridge with me knowing that I could fail. Because not everybody can tolerate a fail. They never come back from it. My father taught me that. My father taught me that, hey, listen, man, if you're going to jump off the high bridge, Rock, don't bring your brother. I'll never forget that. I was in high school and I was doing some naughty stuff, and he took me out in a station wagon. I'm one of 11 kids, and that's when I realized I'm going to be talked to. It was always a lesson of some sort, and it was always verbal, and it was low key, and we were actually driving over a high bridge. And he said, Rock, if you're going to jump off the high bridge, don't bring your brother. I've always remembered that. And I've been in business with partners, and I've been in marriages with partners. And guess what? It's true. People change. Rules change. Regulations change. And politicians change. That's why I've made it this long, I think. People have even asked me, Rock, are you still in this business? Yeah. I've evolved. 7 different careers. I've learned from every one of them. And I believe I've been successful at all of them because I would exit and say, okay, I met my goals. I want something different. And that's where I am now in my 70s. I want something different. And I'm going to make it different. But I know my roots. I know my foundation. I know what I've mastered in my life. The transformation I've made haven't been easy, but I did it. And that transformation would include an exit plan. And I always looked at the people first because that's what my father would say. The people come first. So I would actually dwell on doing the right thing. And I remember one of my attorneys, Terry Kravosha, said to me, she goes, you know, Rock, the bottom line in business decisions and situations like this, because I was going through an acquisition and a sale, she said, you know, Rock, the bottom line is always take the high road. And I learned from that. Once you make that tough decision about, you know what, do the right thing, it's another one that my father brought up. You see, I'm basically just repeating quotes and direction and guidance from my mentors, the people that I respected, the people that I admired for doing the right thing. I was always the youngest guy in the room, learning from all this wisdom. I was on the board of directors in my 20s when everyone else was in their 60s and 70s. I'm sure they were looking at me like, wow, I wish I could go back to my 20s like Rock. Because I was being exposed to some tough decisions, usually finance. What was I there for? I had to execute. Here's the strategy, Rock. Here's the implementation. Here's the game plan. Now go out and execute it. And guess what I had to do? I couldn't do this stuff myself. I had to bring people in. So that's what you got to do. You got to pick the right horse. Is there betrayal? Is there loyalty? Is there conflict? Is there divorce? There's divorce in marriage, but there's also divorce in business. Because colors eventually show. But you have to understand that people still have to think for themselves. You have to think for yourself for what's good for you. Just like I have to do. So when I would think for myself, I had 3 kids that I had to think about. And those 3 kids were very important to me. To the point where I was a role model and I wanted to make sure I was doing the right things. So we always talked about, especially as they became teenagers, the boys especially, be careful. Be careful of alcohol, drugs, girls. Focus on education. Focus on your grades. Focus on friends, the right friends, as I mentioned before, the right family values. And when you're a single parent, you can't watch everything. And I was a disciplinarian, you know? So I'm sure my kids didn't love being around me all the time, which was every other weekend and every sport, hockey, baseball, soccer, piano, dance, picking the right schools. I even sent my kids to therapists to make sure that they didn't look at me and say, Dad, you're trying to control me, because that's what happened to my family of 11. My father kind of controlled everything as an Italian, strong man. This is the way it's going to be. This is your journey to success. This is your career. You're going to be a printer. Nah, that wasn't me. I broke the chains, man. I broke the chains not only in my own lifestyle, I broke the chains in the family. I just took a different route. So when you talk about success, the success is up to you. It's not up to me. I'm just giving you examples of what I went through. And as I mentioned, I'm in my 70s. And I could go back to my childhood as my name, how I was named, Rock, and the problems I had being bullied. You know? So when I hear about kids being bullied, I get it. I wasn't the biggest, fastest, strongest dude either, you know? I always had to work at it. But you know what? My parents taught me about a work ethic. 11 kids and poor, even though my parents provided very well, and it actually progressed to be even better, bigger, better, and stronger in our careers because of the opportunities our parents gave us and what we saw. And of course, everything was changing. Education was changing, generational changing. And during the times I was raised, it was all about Woodstock, drugs, the Vietnam War, assassinations. I saw all that. And here my parents kept on going. And believe me, our family, not involved with any of that, any of the trends, because we had to work. Our parents watched our development. It was not about grades. It was not about education. It was about conduct, respect, and kindness. And that's what I value today. And that's what I wanted to pass on to my kids. And I really believe they've done that. And that's why I've learned how to let go. Forgive myself for all my sins. I have a strong faith in God. And I was one of the lucky ones that I learned my purpose really early in life. But I had multiple roads to take. And I picked the wrong horse many times. But guess what? God sat there and helped me out. So the wisdom, I'm giving you a lot of my wisdom that I've had, but you got it too. I don't care how old you are. Those 5 pillars are right on, man. And I know I don't communicate them or construct them sensibly like a teacher would. No, I'm from the streets. And I learned more on the streets than I did at Harvard, which I've attended. Okay? I have a college education. But the biggest experience that I got was running businesses with people, because the people always came first. And I had great mentors and great leaders to observe, to follow. But at the end of the day, you got to make your own decisions. So how successful do you want to be is up to you. The wisdom, grasp it. And by the way, it's continuous learning, lifelong learning. You're not going to be surprised the older you get about what people make decisions on. But who's looking for trouble? My parents used to say, hey, you looking for trouble? You're going to find it. My parents were right. I'm not looking for trouble. But I've had a hell of a life, man. And my legacy, now you're going to think I'm crazy, but AI is here. I went into AI and I asked, what's my legacy? And it spit it out. And you know what? I liked it. AI wrote it. I wanted to see it. And guess what? No one else is going to have to write it. And you know what? It's pretty accurate. I feel good about it. So anyway, the 5 pillars, just keep going back on YouTube, listen to them. It might be crazy. If you have questions, you could always contact me direct. Okay? My name is Rock LaManna. And yes, they named me right. All my contact information is on YouTube or my website. I've even trademarked my own name. Rock LaManna is a registered trademark. That's right. It's one thing my business attorney taught me, is Rock, you got so much stuff going on that you need to trademark this stuff. Will it ever become a financial decision? No. I'm just proud of it. I'm proud of it, and it's in my estate plan that my son, Luke, the oldest son, will own all my digital assets. That's it. I did something with my life. I've had the foundation. I've mastered my craft, and I'm continuing on mastering and expanding my craft, whatever it may be. Transformation, I'm in my 7th. Career, more chapters than that, or more acts. Independence, I've gained it, I've earned it. And I'm going to take it. And now, the wisdom that I've gained, I'm going to pass on as my legacy. That's the 5 pillars. Think about it. You know, there's a book out from Steve Covey back in the 80s, I believe it was. The 7 Habits of Successful People, or something similar to that. And one of the 7 habits was have the end in mind. END, have the end in mind. I took that. I had a personal mission. No one else knew that I had this personal mission because I was so obsessed with being successful, whatever that is. But the end in mind was be a good person. Have my kids become responsible and accountable and good people. And as me, as a role model, just do the right things. And I'll earn heaven. And I'm looking forward to that too. One of my mentors said to me years ago, is always bring joy. And that's how I end my my tagline, my mantra, my motto. It's just do the right thing and always bring joy. So I'll talk to you soon.